U.S. officials say Israel launched a small number of missiles at Iran Friday. The strike was in retaliation for Iran's missile attack against Israel last week. So far, there have been no reports of casualties or major damage in Iran. For analysis on the Middle East and more, we are joined by CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd in our weekly national security recap. So, Sam, there is a lot for us to get to. Let's just start off with what we have heard from leaders in Iran, Israel, and the U.S. following Israel's latest response.
Well, Lana, we are in a new normal in the Middle East. Iran and Israel have demonstrated both a willingness and a capability to directly attack each other. After Iran launched an unprecedented strike into Israel last weekend, Israel reportedly conducted a strike into Iran on Thursday night. Now, it is worth noting that Iran is downplaying the incident that occurred on Thursday night. Israel is really officially not taking attribution, and the United States is refusing to comment. All these signs do point to a desire to de-escalate state-on-state violence, but we'll have to continue to monitor the situation. Meanwhile, the United States did issue new sanctions targeting Iran's drone, automotive, and steel sectors for their involvement in Iranian weapons production, and the UK took similar action. The United States did also issue yet another round of sanctions targeting Israeli settlers involved in violence against Palestinian civilians in the West Bank, and the EU took similar action in that regard. So a lot of events unfolding in the Middle East, and we'll continue to watch them closely.
Well, Sam, let's even take a step back, because the roots of this conflict are manifold and deep. Help our viewers understand these countries and what each has at stake.
Well, after the Iranian Revolution in 1979, relations between Iran and Israel really nosedived. The Iranian regime started to call for wiping Israel off the face of the map. The regime views the state of Israel as illegitimate, not only because of their view that Israel stole lands from Arabs, from Palestinians, but Lana, not only did the regime start to call for wiping Israel off the face of the map, Iran has poured so much money into funding, training, and equipping proxy forces that are directly attacking Israel, like Hezbollah and Hamas and others. Israel, for its part, has developed and implemented a set of defensive measures to keep the country safe. They view Iran as an existential threat. There have been reports that Israel has assassinated nuclear scientists in Iran. Israel has launched strikes against Iranian proxies in Lebanon and elsewhere. And this is an existential crisis between these two countries.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sam, I also want to talk to you about some of these developments that took place this week in U.S.-China relations. Bring us up to speed on that.
Well, the Biden administration's policy toward China has really been defined by not being afraid to call out areas of concern, but simultaneously focusing on deepening communication. This week, following President Biden's engagement with President Xi Jinping a few weeks ago, Secretary Yellen's visit to China, we saw the State Department's top official for Asia travel to China. And importantly, we saw Secretary of Defense Austin meet virtually with his Chinese counterpart, their first discussion in over a year. Their discussion touched on a range of regional security issues, including Taiwan. And the conversation comes at a time when the U.S. is really criticizing China for its export of dual-use items to Russia. President Biden this week indicated his willingness to consider tripling tariffs on Chinese steel and aluminum exports if the U.S. Trade Representative does find, as part of an ongoing investigation, that China is involved in anti-competitive practices in the steel and aluminum sectors. So as we look forward to Secretary of State Blinken's upcoming visit to China, we'll continue to pay attention to what's happening in the security domain as well as in the economic domain, Lana.
All right, Sam Vinograd there for us in Washington. Thanks, Sam.